Boogie woogie oogie, my dudes. My producer Alejandro said something to me, not the other day. I don't want to act like it happened yesterday, but he said something to me that kind of shook me. I wasn't expecting him to have this opinion. Big ups Alejandro. Check out Alejandro if you haven't. The reason why it shook me, and here's what we talked about. He said he wouldn't be surprised if Kendrick Lamar retired after what he's already done. And to be fair, the more that I think about that, the more realistic that does actually seem. A lot of the greatest rappers of all time had short discographies. Typically, dipping your toes in more than once could help or it could hurt. In a lot of cases, I feel like it hurts. Kendrick Lamar, and I think inarguably had one of the best album runs of all time. You figure, even if we're not, like, I think Overly Dedicated is overlooked. I think Section 80 is underrated. Good Kid Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, damn. Even if you consider Untitled Unmastered is better than most albums that exist, which is crazy. And then having the Black Panther album, like, so the whole score of the Black Panther movie done by Top Dawg and Kendrick, that makes so much sense. It's a very sick way to end your career, is by scoring a movie. And now if Kendrick goes in the more business aspect of music, like Jay-Z, I wouldn't be that shocked. Again, the more that I think about it, people have been asking where Kendrick is, but maybe he's just done. That's not to say that Kendrick, in my opinion, should be done, right? I think he should at least release one more project. There's been too much that's happened in the world over the span of the time that he's been gone. So you figure 2017 to now, being start of 2021 when I'm recording this, maybe mid 2021 technically, a hell of a long 3 years, especially 2020. I don't think you can't acknowledge that if you're the most popular artist and maybe the most conscious artist of all time. Now, if he pushes the career of someone like Baby Keem and like he's like, well, hey, look, I'm done, but Baby Keem is the new thing, I could 10,000% see that as well. I feel like Baby Keem showed up at a time like strange in Kendrick Lamar's disco. Like, Kendrick Lamar is the shit and he's gonna probably retire as the shit, and then the GOAT conversation can really be had maybe as he begins writing and doing stuff like Andre has. Because I think if you look at, again, Andre is my favorite rapper of all time. I think 3 Stacks is the GOAT pretty inarguably. That's not really what this is about. The point being, Andre didn't really do a whole lot as far as his discography was concerned. I would argue Kendrick Lamar has had more of a solo discography than Andre. Like, because again, you figure Big Boy split a lot of obviously Outkast records, but Kendrick Lamar being able to run from 2013 to 2017 is still an impressive run as far as rap is concerned. A lot of rappers tend to stretch that out more, right? So like someone like Jay-Z's been able to stretch that out more because he has released so much over time. In some ways, in my opinion, right, like that does hurt the conversation for someone like Jay-Z or maybe even Kanye, but being able to keep hearing from them is what leaves me keeping them in such high regard, to be honest. I don't know if I'd be putting Jay-Z in the same conversation if he wasn't as prolific, or maybe even Ye for that matter. But K-Dot is at a point in his career where people are pretty, like, I would say the general consensus is that he's the greatest rapper of our lifetime right now, and like our generation. He really ran the tens. It's just the same that we didn't hear him in 2020, which would be like 10 years into his career. Being as prolific and as great as he is, if he just backed the career of a Baby Keem, I wouldn't be shocked by that career progression. And if he retired from rap today, I wouldn't be shocked at that either. It was something that I was shocked when, again, Alejandro said that, but to be honest, I'm starting to realize more and more that could just be what's actually happening. I don't know what TG Lang is, but it seems like he's launching a brand or a business. It seems like Baby Keem has come out right when he disappeared. I really didn't start hearing about Keem until 2019. I knew about Keem when he released that one EP. I don't want to be wrong. Yeah, okay, so I heard No Name EP in 2018. My favorite song of his, I think, due to bias, I'm sure. With that bias, 50 Habits is my favorite Baby Keem song still. Now, he's topped it for sure as far as it's concerned, but I think 50 Habits is just around when I discovered him, so I hold it in a high regard. But the Midnight EP being wiped, I remember listening to that after I listened to the No Name EP and being impressed with Midnight, and I was like, who is this? And then around Hearts and Darts and The Sound of Bad Habit maybe is when I was like, oh, isn't this he's got this Kendrick relationship. And then obviously in 2019 he had a massive 2019. Drake shouted him out in 2019. I think he got on the XXL cover for 2020 basically, because like I just know Drake shouted him out, and then like a month or two later everybody in the world was going to be on that guy, and they were because he's someone for the heads and he's someone for just the general public, and he's a very different artist with normalizing a lot of music that is actually occurring in the underground. And he's pushing a new sound forward, which is all impressive to see. I really enjoy Baby Keem's music. I think he's the most exciting artist right now. Is he the best rapper? I don't necessarily think so, but when it comes down to it, if he's the next Drake, which I think maybe Baby Keem could be the next Drake, as far as like he's got all the industry backing of TDE and Kendrick, right? Who again is pretty inarguably for some people the greatest rapper of our generation. He's got every resource that you'd need and a familial tie to one of the greatest rappers of all time. He's got an ability to write a hit. People really liked Orange Soda, and I think his simplicity is refreshing. And honestly, his honesty and honestly his honesty is refreshing too. Like the way that he speaks is new. He has a different kind of cadence, a different kind of style of speaking, you know, like he has a unique writing style. And then you figure Hooligan and Sons of Critics, I was a huge fan of both of those, but it seems like those were just throwaways for him. That's crazy. I don't know if it seems like No Sense is going to be on the project because it's one of those songs that the sense that they put a lot into mixing it, a lot into how it's going to be presented. A lot of people think it's mid. I think it's relatively mid, but I'm listening to it more than I realized I would. I still think he is one of the most refreshing writers in hip-hop right now, and has some of the best production, and again has the familial tie to TDE and Kendrick obviously being who he is going to be able to get Baby Keem far if he needs to be. And maybe that's refreshing to Kendrick, and I don't see why that wouldn't be, to see your family member be just as successful. I think Kendrick, he's 33, you know, he's young. He's 3 years younger than J. Cole, and J. Cole seems like he's more in the Dreamville side of things, though J. Cole is pretty prolific as well. But Jid, I'm sure, is super exciting for J. Cole, you know, which is why I'm saying he might be maybe in a similar position. Dreamville's having a lot of success right now. I'm trying to see, like, so if Kendrick is 33 and Jay-Z is 51, it seems early for Kendrick to be like, I'm done. I think I'm good. I think maybe the longer he sits and decides, hey, maybe I'm gonna wait a little bit longer and wait a little bit longer. Hey, maybe I'm gonna work with Keem. Hey, I'm gonna push Keem's stuff. The more it makes me feel like maybe he's just admitting that he was on the top of the world when he was. Damn would be a sick final album, and to end it all off just like Outkast did with a movie project. It's just interesting, like Outkast ended with Idlewild, and I think Kendrick ended with Black Panther, you know? Now, Black Panther was arguably better received. I think Black Panther was way better received than Idlewild. Obviously, it's a little different because like Andre 3000 and Big Boy were in the movie, right? But I think Kendrick's in a position where maybe he could just be like, yeah, you know, I did it. I did what I said I could do. To Pimp a Butterfly is gonna stand the test of time. It's for what it's been able to articulate and how quintessential Kendrick's experience has been. I don't know how you couldn't just say like, yeah, I really did everything I needed to do, because Good Kid, Mad City does that, except different and better. Again, Untitled Unmastered being B-sides of arguably, again, in some cases, if not, it's definitely in my top 5, but it's most people's favorite album of all time. So he split Damn and Good Kid, Mad City with the best album of all time. Like, that's just crazy. That is crazy. And ended it with Black Panther, something that has only grown in importance. And I don't think it's even that bad of a project, even with it being a movie project. I think it's one of the more listenable movie projects. Now, will Kendrick Lamar return at some point and pull a Jay-Z? Absolutely. I think there's no way Kendrick Lamar at 33 doesn't have another album to say something. But I think people expecting Kendrick to just be releasing frequently is interesting, because you figure Outkast has a little bit more of a discography behind them, but their real sick stretch happened within a 3-year period with Aquemini, Stankonia, and Speakerboxxx and The Love Below, and then they ended it with Idlewild. Cut the little bit of excess, in my opinion. Outkast discography, I don't think it's arguable that those 3 are the ones that everybody turns to. ATLiens is great, Southern Playlistic is great. Honestly, like Players Ball a lot, so it's hard to say this, but because again, they're my favorite rap group, so obviously I like all these, but those 3 are the most iconic and the most important. Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn are kind of Kendrick Lamar's version of those 3 in my eyes. Black Panther is his Idlewild. Kendrick also knows the value of his music and will use it accordingly. So I don't think we're not going to hear a Kendrick feature. I don't think we're not going to hear a Kendrick album. You figure Jay-Z took from 2013 to 2017 to release a 444, 4-year time period. If he wants to catch up to someone like Jay-Z as far as a business is concerned, he needs to be working on a business, not music, because Kendrick puts too much thought and effort into his music to do that, really, in my opinion. I don't know how he could do both. His stuff's too layered. Jay-Z's stuff is real, right? And it's different comparative. They sound completely different. So the only reason I again bring it up, I feel like 444 for Jay-Z was like very impromptu and raw. And I feel like that's the next thing we'll hear from Kendrick. But Jay-Z is also trying to launch his kids' music career. Obviously, Jay-Z and Beyonce are really putting it all in their kids at the moment too. They're getting them early accolades. Yeah, Jay-Z is just one of those prolific guys. But I think comparing Kendrick to Ye and Jay-Z, which a lot of people do, those guys are just more prolific. I think Kendrick is not a prolific kind of rapper. So to answer the question, where is Kendrick Lamar? I think Kendrick Lamar is just launching his brand.